This is the story of a mind betraying its owner. It was a bright Tuesday morning, but to Sarah, it felt like the world was closing in. She sat in her car in the office parking lot, unable to step out. Her heart was pounding, her palms damp, and every breath felt like she was trying to inhale through a straw. The office loomed ahead, a place where deadlines and expectations haunted her daily. But this wasn't just stress. It was something darker, something she didn't have a name for. She clenched the steering wheel as a sudden wave of dread washed over her. Her chest tightened, her vision blurred, and her hands trembled uncontrollably. What is happening? She thought. Am I dying? This wasn't the first time Sarah felt out of control. Last week, she'd been in the grocery store, reaching for a carton of milk, when the same feelings had surged through her. She'd abandoned her cart and fled, sitting in her car for hours, convinced she was having a heart attack. Back then, she brushed it off. But now, sitting in the parking lot, the symptoms were undeniable: chest pain, a choking sensation, an unshakable fear that something terrible was about to happen. I can't go through this again, she whispered. Later that day, Sarah found herself in a sterile doctor's office, recounting her symptoms to a calm but distant physician. The doctor nodded and said, "It sounds like you're having panic attacks. They're not life-threatening, but they can feel overwhelming." Panic attacks. Sarah felt a mix of relief and disbelief. If they weren't dangerous, why do they feel so terrifying? The doctor handed her a brochure on anxiety and suggested relaxation techniques. "Deep breathing can help," he said casually, as though it were that simple. Sarah's days became a battle against her own mind. She avoided crowded places, skipped family gatherings, and even stopped going to her favorite yoga class, fearful of another attack. Her friends began to notice her withdrawal. "You're not yourself," her best friend, Emma, said one day. But how could Sarah explain the paralyzing fear that gripped her without warning? One sleepless night, she typed panic attack stories into her search bar. The internet became her lifeline. She discovered forums filled with people who described exactly what she was feeling. I'm not alone, she realized, but the knowledge didn't ease the fear. One forum post stood out. A woman named Claire shared her journey with panic attacks and how she fought back. Claire's advice was simple but powerful. Learn your triggers. Accept the attack instead of fighting it. Focus on grounding techniques. Desperate for relief, Sarah decided to take control. The next week, Sarah found herself back in the grocery store, the scene of her earlier panic attack. Her heart raced as she approached the dairy aisle, but she remembered Claire's words. A panic attack is like a wave. Let it come. It will pass. She grabbed a carton of milk and stood there, letting the fear wash over her. She began the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding technique. She named 5 things she could see, 4 things she could touch, 3 things she could hear, 2 things she could smell, 1 thing she could taste. Slowly, her breathing steadied and the wave receded. For the first time, Sarah felt a glimmer of hope. Sarah sought therapy, where she learned about cognitive behavioral techniques to challenge her anxious thoughts. Her therapist introduced her to breathing exercises, visualizations, and the importance of self-care. She also opened up to Emma, who listened without judgment. I wish I told you sooner, Sarah admitted. Emma replied, You don't have to go through this alone. Months later, Sarah shared her story at a local mental health event. She described the terror of her first attack, the despair of feeling alone, and the empowerment of taking control. Panic attacks don't define you, she told the audience. They're a challenge, not a life sentence. Sarah still had moments of anxiety, but she no longer lived in fear. She embraced each day with a sense of resilience she hadn't known before. As she looked out at the audience, she ended with the words that had carried her through. It's okay to feel scared, but remember, you're stronger than the fear.